Alright, this video is extra examples of simplifying algebraic expressions. This is not mandatory, this is just for you if you need some extra help. Alright, so my first example, I've got three terms. Remember, a term is split up between signs, so I have a positive 8x, a positive 3, and a positive 10x. What I'm going to do is I'm going to note that these two terms here that I underlined are like terms. It might even be easier if I rearrange them for you and I write 8x first, and then I write the 10x after that, and then I write the positive 3 later. That still makes the two terms here, they're alike, they're called like terms, and I can combine those terms. So I can do 8x plus 10x, which gives me 18x. This 3 here is not like anything else, so I would leave it alone, and that would be my final answer for that type of question. So this I would consider like a level 1 question. Now let's take a look at this level 2 type of question. 4 terms this time. You got a negative 5m, a positive 8, negative 5m, and a negative 12. So right off the bat I notice that negative 5m and negative 5m, they're the same term, and they're also like terms. The other two terms, the positive 8 and the negative 12, are constants. Neither of them have variables, so those are also alike. So I can rearrange this to make it easier for you. Negative 5m and another negative 5m, those are alike. And 8 and negative 12, those are alike. So all I did is I used the commutative property of addition to rearrange the terms in a little simpler way. At this point I can notice that these two here can combine. That together, negative 5 and another negative 5 added together gives you negative 10. And I put an m there. And then these two terms, 8 and negative 12, neither of them have variables, so those are called constants. I can add them together and get negative 4. And so that would be my final answer there. So this is my next example. This would be considered a level 3 question. So I consider a level 3 question because they're asking you not only to combine like terms, but to do some distributing. So order of operations tells us to try to do whatever you can inside. You can't do anything here. So the next thing I do is I'm going to actually distribute. All right. And so this 3 is going to be multiplied with each of these terms inside. So 3 times 2x gives us 6x. 3 times a negative 8 would give you negative 24. Now I don't distribute to this 5x over here because it's not inside the parenthesis. So I would just bring that down and leave it alone. And if you notice, this looks a lot like example number 1. Now I notice that 6x and 5x, those are like terms. And this negative 24 is unlike the others, so I would not combine that with anything. I can rearrange this if you like. I get 6x and 5x. I put those next to each other. And the negative 24 I put over to the side. Again, these two here are like terms, so I can combine them and get 11x. This last one is not like anything else, so I'm going to leave it alone. That would be a simplified answer to that expression. Alright, that brings us to a little bit higher level type of question. So you might have seen this in class and thought, boy, I didn't get that one in class. Let's see if I can go a little further with it. So I'll show you how easy this is. It's almost as if I have two separate questions. I've got this one here at the side, and then I have a second question. And so one at a time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute. This negative 6 gets distributed to two terms inside the parenthesis. Okay? And this negative 4 gets distributed to these two terms inside this other parenthesis. So I'm going to write those out one at a time. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12, and then the b. Negative 6 times a negative 5, that's positive 30, and I put a c. Then I come over here. Negative 4 times 6, that's negative 24, c. Negative 4 times a negative 3 is going to give you a positive 12, and then the b. Okay, so that's probably the hardest part of this question, is to figure out the distributing. Once you get that, it's pretty simple. We say, look, these ones are alike, the negative 12b and the positive 12b. I can even rewrite those for you so that you can see them next to each other. You don't have to rewrite it, but I'm just kind of showing you. All right, and then I have the 30c and the negative 24c. Those are like terms because they both have the letter c. And so I can write those next to each other. All right. And remember, the reason I can switch things around is the commutative property of addition. At this point, I can combine like terms. These two are alike. That gives you nothing. It gives you a 0. These two here are alike. They both have the letter c involved, and that gives you a positive 6c. Now because this is 0, my real answer is just going to come out to 6c. That eliminates itself. And this brings me to my last example. All right, so I've got, again, going to do some distributing. I can't combine anything inside because they're all unlike. This one's got the letter P, letter H, and a constant. Over here I've got a whole separate parentheses, so I'll worry about that separately. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. All right, I'm going to multiply this time by 3 terms inside. And this one I get distributed to 2 terms, so negative 3 times the 7p and times the 10. So I'll do those one at a time. 10 times 6 is 60, and then times p, so there, put that. 10 times the 4 is 40, and then times the h. 10 times the negative 5 is negative 50, but no letter whatsoever. Then I come over here. Negative 3 times 7, that's negative 21p. Negative 3 times 10, negative 30. All right, so now it's just a matter of combining like terms, right? I'm going to take a look. 60p, negative 21p. Those are alike, so I can even write them next to each other. It might help you. Okay, just takes a little extra step to write it down. It's not a big deal. Next, I'm going to go with 40h. Well, I don't have any other h's, so I'm just going to have to write that as 40h. And then I'm left with my constant. My constant, negative 50 and negative 30. Negative 50 and negative 30. Those are like terms because they're both constants. Neither of them have variables. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to go with the p here. 60p minus 21p. So that gives me 39p. Now the 40h, there's nothing else like that, so I just rewrite it. And lastly, the constants, negative 50 and negative 30 is negative 80. And that's all I can do. That's how I would stop right there because there's no more like terms that I can combine. All right, hopefully that was helpful for you. I know it was a little bit longer of a video, but that was just to help out with extra examples.